Greetings from Florida to Pastors Bob and Sandy Lentz and congregation of the Restoration Community Church on this year's special dedication day. My name is Pastor Wilbur Coates, the conference assigned pastor of what was called Ancell-Wesleyan Methodist Church. As former pastors, my wife Dorothy and I were invited to attend your service today. We really wanted to come, but both of us are 96 years of age and subject to the limitations that age brings. Instead, I join with you by video to share with you a brief story of the beginnings of Restoration Community Church. 74 years ago, my wife Dorothy and I, with our 6-week-old son John, were traveling the roads leading to Ancell, Missouri. I had just graduated from Marian College and had accepted the call of a group of Christians led by Mrs. Nettie Fisher, who were worshiping in the Fisher's home and had become an organized church in the Wesleyan Methodist denomination. Upon arrival in Ancell, we were surprised to see a lovely white church building, partially finished inside, with a neat apartment in the basement ready for us to occupy. How that building was built or financed was not made known to us at the time, and it was a great beginning which we greatly appreciated anyway. The only thing I remember that diminished our joy was the uncanny ability that our infant son seemed to have to know exactly when mealtime arrived and began to cry before every meal of the day. Our only consolation was the old saying, "This too will pass," and it eventually did. By the way, John has planned to attend today and is probably sitting in the congregation. To start a new church in those days, it was understood the pastor would need to be bivocational. The Korean War was creating a shortage of teachers for our schools, and Ancell needed a teacher for the 4 upper grades of their 2-room elementary school, and I was hired to be that teacher. With little training in the field of education, this added to my duties that I had to learn by experience. This pressure on top of my first years as a new pastor of a new congregation was mounting. Beyond that were my duties as a husband and father. Our daughter Marilyn came to us in 1950, Wesley 2 years later, and then Paul 2 years after that. The children came so regularly that my oldest brother jokingly said that maybe we should move to a church where the families in the church had fewer children so we wouldn't have even more. After all, the Fisher family had 11 children and another family had 12. In the meantime, my personal health began to suffer. After 5 years of the pressure, my doctor notified me that I had ulcers and needed to decide either to teach or preach. That decision was easy. I had already taken vows that my life would be lived for Christ as a pastor in the Wesleyan Methodist Church. Public school teaching was terminated and carpentering became my supporting vocation. I didn't realize it at the time, but the Lord was preparing me for church planting and the church building in the future. In our 9th and final year of Ancell ministry, Dorothy developed psoriasis. The doctor advised us to move to a different climate. This was not an easy decision, for by this time, the congregation was flourishing spiritually and numerically, touching the lives of many, many families. However, in God's timing, August 1956 found us loading our car and trailer and heading to Florida. This ended our ministry in the opening chapter of Restoration Community Church. However, our leaving didn't end our friendship with the Fisher family and our keen interest in the continuing ministry of this church. we had the honor of being asked to return and conduct the memorial service of Nevin Fisher Sr. and later the memorial service for Nettie Fisher, two of the great Christians I have been privileged to work with. Also, often we were invited to join in the annual Fisher family reunion, and we remember the famous Southern chicken and dumplings and heavenly homemade ice cream. Now, when the word came to us of the lightning strike on your church building, and we watched the video of the flames destroying it, you can understand why our minds were flooded immediately with all of these memories. As Dorothy and I look back, we are thankful and rejoice the Lord's grace and mercy were more than sufficient, regardless of the circumstances we faced. We thank God that He directed us to Southeast Missouri to help establish Restoration Community Church. Please accept our congratulations on this glorious day. Dorothy and I rejoice with you and pledge our continued interest and prayer support. We honor you for your vision and the sacrifices and labors of love that have made this day long to be remembered. May the Lord give you many victories as you press the battle for Him.